You're wrong about the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Here's why. Let's go. The Galaxy S25 Ultra has struck a pretty polarizing figure since it was announced pretty much a week ago. Not even. I mean, realistically, there's only one reason why that is, and that's the S Pen. And not even just the pen. It's a feature that less than 1% of people have apparently been using. The Bluetooth functions. So much time has been spent on that specific omission, it feels like the rest of the phone is going unnoticed. Especially after the chaotic 24 hours yesterday, where everyone sort of thought for a moment that they brought it back via a separate accessory, but that's not the case. Go check out my Twitter to catch up on the latest there. Some reviewers are leveling this phone as boring or no upgrades, and I just don't see it that way. If you're upgrading from the S24 Ultra, sure. But as a package, as a phone isolated on its own, there is so much to like here. All those people that are calling it boring, everyone that's saying that there's nothing exciting about it, I think, in my opinion, are wrong. Now, I've already made my position clear about the Bluetooth and the S Pen. I've got a whole video about that already. Go and check that out, about what's been removed, why it's been removed, and what I think about it. It's up here. But that feature doesn't ruin the entire phone by not being here. There are so many more upgrades to this phone that you won't see, and that some people right now through their blind range can't find yet. First of all, this is a phone that you need to hold in your hands to appreciate. It feels completely different to any of the Ultras that Samsung have made so far. The lightweight nature of it, the fact it's 218 grams. Compare that to the 232 grams from the S24 Ultra. You honestly have a substantially lighter phone and more power than what the S24 Ultra has got. And so far, better battery life too. It's got newer titanium on the frame. It's got Gorilla Glass Armor 2 on the front for an even better reflective coating than what we had last year. It's been executed perfectly to Samsung's vision of what they want their Ultra phone to be. And this is speaking as someone who liked the previous design a lot. I loved the aesthetic of the boxier corners and the sort of curved frame because that was Samsung. That was identifiably Samsung. The thing is, so is this. Samsung have a history of having rounded corners on their S series. That's pretty much what they were, only up until the S22 Ultra a few years ago. But I guess because this has the pen, everyone thinks it should be like a Note. I'm not going into that again. The thing is, the corner radius isn't as drastic as what Note phones have been in the past. It's actually still, I would say, a little bit boxier than what the standard S models are. So it's almost like the perfect in-between. To think all of the complaining that the internet has done about bezel size over the last few years, that they now are just automatically ignoring it. Like Samsung haven't got some of the smallest bezels in the game. The bezels on this are tiny. You have got an incredible thin border around an incredible device. Oh, there's a phone within a phone. And it just makes it an immersive on-screen experience that I've never had before. So are we happy with it? No, we've got to find something to complain about, don't we? I appreciate the engineering that these phones are made to. I'm not normally a case guy. I like my phones the way the engineers have designed it. And I think the way they've designed this is to feel light in the hands and feel comfortable to hold with the flat sides and the rounded corners. Everyone would say that removing a feature like the Bluetooth function is cost cutting, but you don't cost cut by slimming down phones and retaining the performance and even increasing it with a 1.4 times larger vapor chamber and the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy. That's just not how you cut costs. You also don't cut costs by developing an entirely new phone called the S25 Edge. Go watch up here. A lot of people have said that the display is the same as the S24 Ultra, and whilst it might be the same panel, Samsung have extracted better results from it thanks to the new chip. The 8 Elite for Galaxy has got some custom stuff designed for Samsung. They've got an upscaler that they've designed in conjunction with Qualcomm to extract better resolution, better brightness, better colors out of an already incredible display. And honestly, it is crazy good, the display on this thing. Especially when you consider that the colors are just sort of popping off the screen. You've got a really nice fluidity as well with the 120 Hertz. Everything about it has just been made really, really well. The cameras are usually next on people's hit list. And the accusation is that Samsung don't have the best camera hardware. And accusation is correct. Hardware-wise, Samsung cameras are not the best anymore. I don't think they've had the best camera hardware probably since the S22 Ultra, when other competitors sort of brought in 1-inch sensors, etc., etc. But again, Samsung managed to extract more from the cameras they have and give people more when it comes to camera modes. Because if we look at other companies, i.e. Google, they have shown that camera hardware isn't all that it's cracked up to be when it comes to the performance of a camera. Software and processing and camera modes are just as, if not more important, I believe. In my time with the Ultra so far in San Jose and even before I went to Unpacked, it has been optimized perfectly. There's consistency across all the cameras. The algorithms with things like noise reduction and face tones are so much better than what they were before. It's because again, the 8 Elite for Galaxy, that 4 Galaxy part has optimized things for the processing pipeline for the cameras. When you start comparing them side by side, it's very, very obvious where the improvements have been made. To just sort of jump back a little bit, when TM Rowe first became president of the mobile division, he introduced the S20 Ultra, which drastically changed the camera hardware, and that leap from S10 to S20 Ultra was massive. The thing was, that camera system with all that new hardware had so many issues with the software that it just was not optimized and barely usable for about the first 6 to 12 months of its life on the shelf. It was too ambitious and focused on specs instead of experience. What I've noticed from Samsung is they've now started to focus and refine the experience of using the camera, not necessarily the hardware that goes into it. Some people would say he got comfortable. I like to think he maybe got patient because he just slowly but surely brought in new hardware when needed and optimized the software around it. And as processing power improved, he started to ramp things up, adding in camera modes, adding in better processors. All of it has been part of the journey. And last year was a big shift with things like 4K dual recording, 4K auto framing. That was a massive jump forward for camera modes and capability. This year is no exception. He's brought in log video recording onto the S25 series. I liken it to what a coach has when they've got a football team. Sometimes you can buy the best players and bring them in, but then they don't gel. They don't work together well, and you've got too many egos in the room. But if you work with the players that you've got and you make them better players by consistently working with them, refining them, and coaching them, then you've got a better team overall. And that's what we've got here. We've got a better team as opposed to just the best superstars. Because you've got the aforementioned log video. You've got features like Best Face, which work really, really cleverly compared to the other implementations that I've seen. You have Audio Eraser, which is on-device AI that can remove background noise from video really, really well too. Some might argue that the hardware should be upgraded. I'm probably in the camp of I would like to see maybe one better camera, particularly the 3 times. I think it's time, but it's not make or break for it. The 3 times still takes some great photos. New hardware too also means constantly developing new processing pipelines, new algorithms, and consistently having to devote resources to upgrading that stuff alongside the hardware. Think about it like gaming consoles. If Sony brought out a new PlayStation every single year, game developers were constantly having to be putting resources into new gaming development systems. And that would just be resource heavy, be costly, and eventually everyone will either burn out or run out of money because they're constantly pumping in resources to develop. It should be the same with phones. Most people are on a 3-year upgrade cycle. So why should Samsung consistently every year make a generational leap or 2 generational leaps ahead when someone's not going to upgrade for 3 years? Someone from the S22 Ultra coming to this, they're getting a good phone. They're getting a good upgrade because the biggest upgrade that you're likely never to see in person anyway on this phone is the chip. The 8 Elite for Galaxy, I said about generational leaps, is a massive generational leap forward. Not just in sort of overall architecture, but the actual performance ceiling that it's got. You could do benchmarks all day, not really interested. I like to look at things like exporting video and seeing the year-on-year increase in that, and it's a massive one. Or just the fluidity of the operating system, or the camera mode capabilities that it enables. All of it makes this phone that much better. And the last part too is the software experience. One UI 7, and I don't mean this lightly, is the biggest thing to happen to Samsung since One UI began. Because it is so carefully built from the ground up for the S25 series that it just flows through effortlessly through all the little menus and settings and apps. Everything has just become really, really natural to interact with. With the oneui versions in the past, you kind of get a bit of a feeling that it's kind of jolted or segmented or fragmented. Everything here feels connected, feels all together, whether that be from the search bar, whether that be from the settings, whether that be from the app drawer. It all kind of flows together, and I really, really like it, except for the notifications. I hate them a lot. I think with this phone, too many people like want it all, and no phone is complete. Not this one, not the iPhone, not any other brand that you find overseas. None of them. Perspective has to be had here. Because of that upgrade cycle I spoke about, it's very, very difficult to change a phone drastically year on year, especially as you kind of don't want to upset previously customers by making it too good, or you don't want to also upset customers and make it too far out of their reach if they're coming from an older phone. The thing is too, it's very easy to be caught up in the tech bubble that we live in and forget that we are ultra consumers. We have in front of me right now, I have S25 Ultra in my hand. I have an S24 Ultra there. I have another S25 Ultra there, and I have a Fold Special Edition. That's not to mention that behind me over here, I have an S24 Ultra. I have an S23 Ultra, and in the drawer, I have multiple phones. So the access that I have is not the access that a person out there has. Out there, they have this, and this is what they have for 3 years. They'll get used to the phone. They'll use it in and out. They'll appreciate the nuances, the features, and they'll get the life that they get out of this phone more than what we would. So when we talk about the upgrades, you have to go through all of them. You have to appreciate the improvements that have been made because there's lots of them. Even if for me, it doesn't drastically change what I do compared to the S24 Ultra, for someone else, it does. That's why you got to talk about it. And that includes the pen. Covering the pen was an important thing to do from the start, but it's dominated so much of the conversation now that I think it's a time to start talking about the rest of the phone because there's a lot of good here. I don't think I'm being too biased, or I hope I'm not. I hope I'm just giving another perspective as opposed to the constant negativity that this phone's coverage is currently getting. Let's all just take a breath, calm down, and remember, this is a great phone. When people start to use this 3, 6, 12 months down the track, they'll realize that. Put it in your hands, try it out. You won't regret it. Hit subscribe to Tech with Benefits. Go find me on my socials, as I mentioned. It's not the end of this phone. I'll make this phone live. Don't you worry about that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. You.